Welcome back, guys, to another video brought to you by your one and only literary pharaoh. I'm gonna be on one of my rants this morning, and I'm gonna do that because I have clear signs of frustrations that are residing in me right now. Right now, I'm in traffic. It's 7:19, approximately 7:20 in the morning, and I left the house later than I wanted to, not because I was tired. I just took my time. I slept. I purposely laid in bed longer, not because I didn't want to get up, but I didn't feel like rushing to get up. You know, you guys understand that I do wake up on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I'm getting up at 3 something. I'm getting up at 3:10 in the morning. 3:10 in the morning to get ready for my morning runs and my morning gym workout. So I'm not foreign to waking up early. It's not, and today was not my workout day, so I had a chance to sleep in a little bit, so I did. I took advantage of it. As a human race, we're totally screwed, man, and we've had all sorts of experiments ran upon us. We've had so much trial and error tactics enacted upon, you know, our existence, our living, our day-to-day living, our routine day-to-day living. I look at the world that we're living in, and I'm looking at the roads right now, and a lot of people don't have to be at work till probably, let's say, 8 or 9 o'clock, right? I'll just say 8, or it's 7:30 to 8. Between 7:30 to 9, let's say that. Whether you work in the educational industry or whether you're a nurse, whatever job you have, whether you work retail, if you're opening that morning, usually it's around between that window. Let's say 7 to 9, between that window. But because everybody is moving at the same time and everyone has pretty much generally the same basic schedule, you have everybody who's on the road at the same time. So what does that mean? What am I trying to get at? What I'm trying to get at is that you guys have to look deeper than the surface. You have to look beneath the surface to understand the ramifications of why things are the way they are. The main objective by our controllers, and yes, I'm going to continue to say this, and you guys can continue to think that I'm crazy, and it's okay. We are ran by extraterrestrials. Don't believe the Bible. Don't believe the stuff about some benevolent God in the sky that's looking out for humanity. That's not it. That's the fucking lie. We were created by extraterrestrials. The system is governed by extraterrestrials. And they're using all sorts of tactics to control us. The first primary tactic that they've used to control us is by manipulating our DNA, causing us to have shorter lifespans, inserting the worship gene inside of our genetics, which makes us all feel like we are compelled to worship something. That's why we have different religions. And then we were also created to be slaves, to be workers. That's why we have the proclivity to always want to work. Animals don't work in that regard. I mean, they hunt for food. They just go out to get their basic needs. And of course, we are more than animals, and we do have a little bit, a small percentage of the extraterrestrial beings' DNA in us. It was inserted in us, which puts us in a very, very peculiar state, because in one sense we have animalistic characteristics, baser animal instincts, when we oftentimes function with our reptilian brain, but then we also have the capacity to operate in higher states of consciousness, and which is attributed to the Anunnaki, or the extraterrestrial beings that created us, putting the spark of their divinity in us. They're the ones posing to be these quote-unquote gods, and they're still here today. We won't see them. We won't know who they are because we're being blinded. But if we understand that if you are on Team Humanity, then if we can all come together to realize who our common enemy is, then we can change the system. So everyone is on the road at the same time. It's for a reason, because It forces you as a person to wake up earlier than you need to wake up, to get on the road earlier than you need to get on the road, because there's so much fucking traffic. What does this mean? What are the effects of this? Well, it affects you because you spend less time at home with your family, because now you have to get up a little earlier. We spend more time on the road and at work than we do at home. That's just a statistical fact. That's not me making that up. If you don't believe me, I want you to take a moment to reflect on your work week or your work day and think about it from the time you wake up, and then once you get on the road to drive to your job. Now, some people's jobs are not that far from their homes, but the majority of Americans are traveling at least 30 minutes to an hour to work. All right? I don't know too many people who say, oh, my job is 5 minutes from my house. That's rare. That's the anomaly. I'm talking about the generalized rule. I'm not talking about the exception to the rule. I'm talking about the generalized rule. The generalized rule here is that most people are commuting 30 minutes to an hour to work. And 30 minutes is on the lower end. Most people is really 45 minutes to an hour. Not because your job is that far. It's because of the fucking traffic. So you may have a job that's really 25 minutes from your house, but because of the traffic, it turns into almost 50 minutes. So what does this do to us as humans? Well, it creates neural pathways in our brain. From the moment we started working as teenagers, whether you were working at a grocery store or whatever your first job was, mowing lawns, it's ingrained in our neural pathways of the brain to be fixated on this idea that we all need to always work. And that's the trap. We're all working for somebody else. We're not working for ourselves. Our enemy, ironically, is those who created us. Our enemies are those who created us. Why? Because they are afraid that if we become one and we fixate most of our energy on us, on developing our skill sets, developing our minds, and pushing ourselves to break certain societal boundaries, then we will become equipped and potent enough to understand who our enemy is, and then we can become a race of people that can do whatever we want. And when I say do whatever we want, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean do whatever we want to make society and make the world a better place. Because deep down in every human, there's good. I just think that there's certain experiences, and because of the environment that we live in, it has forced people to turn into people who are fixated on being greedy and being materialistic, harboring jealousy within the soul, or having envy, possessing envy. It's because of the system we live in. The system, whether it's capitalism, whether it's functioning to embellishing the military-industrial complex, whatever it is, we are a reflection of the system. We are conceived from the system because we're born into it. So the neural pathways of our brain become fixated on this type of reality, and we become so numb to it that it's hard for us to think outside the box. I'm constantly always thinking, and I see things for what they fucking are. We're slaves. We think that this is normal. There's probably about 1,000 cars on the road right now as I'm driving. You can't see the road. You're just seeing me, but I'm the one. I have the vantage point to see everything that's in front of me right now. And right now I'm driving about 18, 19 miles per hour. Because there's that much traffic, and I'm on the freeway that gives you a 70 miles per hour speed limit. So that's just to let you know how slow the traffic is. But this is all designed, folks. Everything that we go through in this life is not by accident. Everything is designed. It's designed to pull families apart. It's designed to keep you away from your home. Why do you think when you get home, your home is a mess? It's not because you're messy, it's because you don't have time to actually clean your house. And when you do clean it, when you do have the time to actually clean your house, you may do a piss poor job at it because you're rushing, because you don't have time to actually put in the effort that you want to put in, because you understand that you don't have that much time to relax. So you just want to hurry up and clean it and then relax, because you know that time is of the essence. There's something else to do. And this is just people who work one job. What about people who work two jobs, who have kids at home? You see how life can become stressful? You see how cortisol levels can rise and start to cause mental fog and heart problems and strokes, and causing people to have excess belly fat, and people to start to look bad, people start to age. Oxidative stress increases, inflammation. I could go on and on. This is all designed. Stress is the silent killer. I know you guys have heard that in the past, and I think a lot of the times people may think that that's just people talking. No, stress is a silent killer because it causes so much. It's a domino effect. It causes so much problems in your internal faculties. How you think dictates your health. People who are happy tend to live a little longer. People who laugh tend to live a little longer. People who are always sad and angry and stressed, your lifespan is shortened drastically. So with that being said, it's all by design. And you may be asking, like, why are you talking about this? What I'm talking about this is because I want you guys to understand that. Some of you guys have gotten to the point where you think that this is just the way it is, and you always knew that there's something wrong, but you didn't even want to get on that frequency, because it's just too much of a rabbit hole to jump into. Because the more you jump into those holes, the more frustrated you get. But my frustration is limited, and my frustration has its moments, and it has its purpose. It serves its purpose. I don't stay frustrated all the time, but there are times where it's needed. To live in a perpetual state of constantly being happy all the time is actually unrealistic. There are times when the human body needs to go through times of sadness and times of laughter and times of crying. All those things are human emotions that appeal to you being alive. It appeals to you being human. You know, a full day is replete with all the emotions being shown. To just think that you're supposed to fight every bad emotion and always seek happiness, that's a jaded concept to harbor. That's not really mature. That's infantile. You shouldn't have that mindset. But right now, I'm in a state of frustration because I just wish that many human beings would see things the way I see them. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with all this bullshit they feed us. And this is what it does. We're stuck on the road. We're away from home. The idea is to cause the human brain to be detached from human relationships, and to be attached to the military-industrial complex, and to be attached to working, and to be attached to work production. So a lot of times people's perception of themselves, all right, is usually dictated by their jobs, right? They feel good about themselves because of the kind of job they work. They feel a certain level of pride, and they harbor a boosted morale because they've done certain things at their job to make them feel good. People attribute their self-worth to their jobs, which is the dumbest thing you can do. Your self-worth isn't predicated on a fucking job. I don't care if you're a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a physicist, a biochemical engineer. I don't give a fuck what you are. Your title is not your self-worth. Your self-worth is your self-worth. You create your self-worth. It's not created by external factors. You can't use something outside of you to determine what's inside of you. That's asinine. It's ass backwards mentality. That's an ass backwards way to think. But here we are as human beings. We've done that. When a child is born, what do? We say, "Oh my God, it's a precious life has come into the world." We marvel at that day where a child is born. The first day a child sees the day of light. The child is picked up. The child is taken home. The child is loved on. You are born with worth. You're born with worth. But somewhere down the line, as we get older, our concept of self-worth becomes convoluted and mixed in with this nonsense and this bullshit that we live in. Then we end up mingling it in with money and how much you make, your salary, your job. All of that is bullshit. None of it makes sense. These are all man-made societal constructs to control us and to keep us monitored. We are on the road and at work more than we are at home. That's a problem. That's not normal. So essentially, we are all slaves. Now, we've trained ourselves to love our jobs. For those who say they love their jobs, you don't really love your job. You love yourself. You love your job because your job allows you to do certain things for yourself. You love your job because you've trained your brain over time, because of repetition, to believe that your self-worth is attached to your profession. You think that your self-worth is attached to your profession, and that's exactly what you think. So somehow, some way, you've trained your brain to tell people you love your job. Nobody fucking loves their job. Not in essence. You love yourself, and you love what the job does for you, whether it makes you feel better about yourself or whether it allows you to buy the things that you want to buy. And we've become materialists instead of humanists. You say, what's the difference? Well, materialists are people who work for materials, cars, houses, things that are fleeting. A humanist is a person that's trying to construct systems that are going to make life a little bit easier for humans to connect on a higher level. Human relationships is at the core of humanity. And there's a video that I want to do. It's a video in video. It's like one of those videos where I play it and I talk, and I have to find out a way to do it. I think I can do it on my phone, but I probably have to do it at home on my computer. It's talking about how, and I talked about this. It was amazing because I'm like, oh my God, this is what I've always said. That media, all these things we do, Google, all of these things are CIA operations. These are all psychological operations, causing humanity to think a certain way. And they give you the options from what you can choose from to give you the illusion that you have some sort of freedom and autonomy. In actuality, you don't have anything. They dictate to the human brain and how the human brain functions, because it talked about how the human brain is not responsible for, I forgot what they said, something to the effect of, the human brain is not responsible for creating its reality. No, the human brain is responsible for creating its reality. However, that reality is created by the information that it gets through experiences. So we're being shaped to think a certain way. That's why politics is a vicious cycle that never ends. It's a cyclical mess. It's the same fucking topics every 4 years. And here, I don't know why we don't wake up and see that. It's either about taxes, tax relief, and taxes is also a scam. I didn't even want to get into that subject. We're being scammed too. We work a wage, we get paid a certain amount, and most of our paycheck has gone to so many different things. Pay bills. You have just enough money to hold you until you get paid again. That's slavery, folks. You don't have enough money to expand. See, each one of us is a corporation. America is a big corporation, but each one of us are a corporation. That's why we have a social security number. And each one of us are a business in and of itself. But what they do, they rob your business to keep your business about their business. So your business is getting in your fucking car to drive to make somebody else's business better. That's your business. They're making your business to be a worker slave and an indentured servitude. And so everything becomes a strategy to put the common man in a slave state. How do they put the common man in a slave state? Well, it's actually simple. We just increase the prices on things, cause people to pay more money for things, increase house mortgages and rent payments. And so even if you're making a lot of money, by the time you pay your bills, you're left with hardly nothing, waiting to get paid again, which makes you more attached to your job, because now you know you need your job. Working is not an option. It's a necessity, because without that, You don't have a roof over your head. You don't have the car to drive to work anymore. Not to mention, if you have kids, you can't feed your kids. Not even talking about daycare costs, which is also a scam as well. I mean, the whole system is rigged. It's made against us, but it's not by accident. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. And even if these are things that are on the surface, they're deeper implications, because they're deeper. There's a deeper root to where it came from. You don't have to be that smart to create a system like this, but in order to keep it intact for all these years, you do have to be smart, and that's where the extraterrestrial influence comes from. The CIA, the Israeli Mossad, those entities, those governmental agencies, those corporations, or whatever the fuck you want to call them, at core, they're ran by extraterrestrials. The people you see that are humans are just the face. If you guys understand the type of technology and the type of technological advancements that these extraterrestrials harbor, then you would understand that it's very easy for them to mask themselves as human beings. If you believe in the Bible and you believe it word for word, there are times it talks about angels. These angels are actual extraterrestrials. They don't have wings. Get out your fairy tale head for a minute and let's think logically. Let's use the left portion of our brain here, okay? Let's not think in fairy tale land. Angels aren't flying around with fucking wings feeding God grapes. Let's get real here. These are all extraterrestrial beings. Even the God you think is a God is an extraterrestrial being. They're extraterrestrial families that are posed to be gods, and they're lording their power over us using technology and so many manipulative tactics to control us. These angels, it said angels dwelt among men, but men couldn't detect it, that they were angels. So what does that mean? It means that these extraterrestrial beings that they're calling angels can actually blend in with humanity. They can look like humans and function like humans, but they're not human. You say, how do they do that? What do you mean, how the fuck do they do that? They have the technology to do that. These are beings that can preserve their souls and use avatar bodies to function in different realms and different dimensions. But we don't understand that type of technology because we're stuck in this dense third dimensional reality. How can we understand higher dimensions that we've never explored? How could you use words to articulate a dimension that you've never seen? So when we see things that don't make sense in this third dimensional realm and it doesn't jive with the laws of physics as we know it from our perspective, we end up calling it a miracle. Oh, it's a miracle by God. That's a miracle. They parted the Red Sea. No, that's technology, folks. Oh, it's making it rain manna from the sky. It's a that's technology, folks. This technology, folks. Not the type of technology that we're used to, but that type of technology in our third dimensional realm does exist. The military has a lot of those things hidden. They have them. And our military as well has extraterrestrial influences. All the wars we fight are backed by extraterrestrials because their tactic is to divide and conquer us, to keep us fighting each other over nonsensical bullshit. And that's why we can never evolve. This idea that humanity is going to come to a great awakening, it's never going to happen. It happened at one point. We are regressing. The age of Atlantis, I think that was humanity at its peak. But even humanity at its peak had extraterrestrial influences. Those pyramids weren't built by humans. You understand that shit. You get it. If that's the case, then human beings could replicate that now. No, those pyramids had extraterrestrial influences. You say, what do you mean? It means that the extraterrestrials helped humans do it. If they didn't help the humans do it, they did it their damn selves and had human beings working on the ancillary, parts of it. There's no fucking way humans built that shit. Those megalithic structures that we can't, the precision of those stones, the cutting of those stones, that's technology that we don't even have today. Even the finest building that could be built today doesn't come close to a pyramid. As ancient as a pyramid looks, the technology in that stone quadri, It's a stone. It's a stone computer. Billy Carson talks about this on his YouTube channel. It's basically a pyramid is a highly technological advanced computer. It's a computer system, but it's made out of stone. Can you believe that? Human beings didn't do that. If you would ask me, and this is just speculation, I would go 90% extraterrestrials, 10% human. Maybe human beings were just given the knowledge about it, but in terms of building it, no way. No way. So we're not as smart as we think we are, because you can tell, because we're all sheep. There are a few that are rattled. There are a few like me that they understand the system for what it is. And I was at work the other day. I was sitting in the library and I was getting some work done on my computer, and the librarian of this school, he comes up to me, he starts to talk about politics. We often make small talk. And he was asking me, did I hear something about what Trump did? I looked at him in my head, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I give a fuck about what Trump did. Like, I'm more concerned about what I can control. I don't give a fuck about, I don't know. I don't watch the news like that. I don't care. So he's talking to me about this political stuff, and I kind of got short with him and cut him off. I was like, hey, man, look, I said, I don't even care about that stuff. He said, but did you hear it? I'm like, huh? I said, I don't hear any of that. I said, none of that affects me. He said, because I don't have the same emotional state you have, because I'm not plugged into that frequency. I'm not plugged into that. And I told him, I gave him a quick analogy that I thought that he could comprehend. I said, hey, look, it's kind of like when you get a radio, the old school radios, and you're turning to different channels. Whatever channel that you hinge your mind to, that becomes a channel to control your vibrations, which puts you on a negative frequency. I don't plug into that shit. Not because, because he says, oh, because it's too negative. I say not even because it's too negative. Even if the news was positive, I create my world. I am a God. I'm the God of my life. In terms of what I can control. When I say God, I'm not talking about the type of God you think from your religious indoctrination. I'm not talking about that kind of fucking God shit. I'm talking about being a generator, organizer, and a dispenser of my own reality. That's what the GOD stands for. It means that I generate my own thoughts based upon what I want to generate. But I'm going to be very intentional about the types of things that I feed my soul. So I'm going to generate my own thoughts. I'm going to organize them for my benefit. I'm going to dispense them to create my reality. Generate, organize, dispense. And those three things is what creates my reality. I'm a God of my cipher. So I was telling him, I said, look, I don't plug into that stuff. He was like, why? I said, because it's all a psychological operation. I said, it's always dualistic in essence. It's a Republican, Democrat, up, down, left, right. And they force you to pick a side. And even if you and then he starts to talk about, well, I listen to everything to make my own decision. I said, but that's it. That's what they want you to do. They want you to listen to everything. It's a distraction. None of those things are a cause to incur solutions. They're not made for you to insert solutions into any problems. They're made to cause more confusion, more chaos, and ultimately to divide us, because we can never be united on anything. I told you guys a story when Trump won. I didn't even know. I came to work and my coworkers were livid. They were pissed. They were like, oh, man, I got to move out of this country. They were making jokes. I'm like, what do you mean move out of this country? They looked at me like, you didn't hear? You didn't know what's going on? I'm like, what do you mean? What's going on? Trump won. And I had to kind of laugh it off like I knew. I was like, oh, yeah. And I walked away out of the office. I'm like, damn, they're that upset over that shit? See, because I'm not plugged into it, none of it affects me. What I don't know won't hurt me. If people say, well, you need to know what's going on. I don't need to know anything. The only thing I need to know is my wife and my kids. That's it. I keep life very simple. As long as I know where they're at, as long as I know that they are okay and their health status is okay and they're well fed and my wife is okay emotionally and physically, hey, I'm good, man. That's where we need to get back to. Worrying and working on the simple things of life. We've allowed social media and an inundation of information overload to make us believe that we're much smarter today, but we're more confused than ever. See, the thing is, you could be given too much information that's packed together as factual information, but in actuality, it's misinformation. So when you're getting a lot of information, which is information overload, and it's misinformation, you're dumber than you were before. You're better off being ignorant, because the information that you're receiving does nothing for your life. It does nothing to push you forward, and it's not solution oriented. It's not solution based. They're not trying to give you solutions. What they're making you believe is that these entities and these governmental agencies are responsible for providing the solution. So we gotta go for certain candidates to make our lives better. You guys are all fucking idiots. When has a president made anyone's life better? You have to make your own life better by just making smarter decisions. You can't leave your life at the hands of other men who don't even know you on a personal level, who are nothing but puppets anyway. Slick businessmen that never answer questions directly. That's why it's called politics. They give politically correct answers. They don't give you direct answers. And you're never gonna find answers in politics. You're never gonna find answers on news. You're never gonna find answers in social media. The only answer comes from you within. So it's 7:50 right now. I'm still on the fucking road, and I still haven't made it to work yet because of the traffic. This is exactly what I'm talking about. See, so much so that this is actually therapeutic for me, because if I was just driving on the road without letting this out of me, I would harbor these feelings in me. But I need to let it out. I need to let it out. It needs to happen. Why? Because, well, it's appropriate that I let it out, because it means that I know what's going on. And see, the more quiet we become, and the more easier it is for us to assimilate to the bullshit. So we assimilate to the nonsense. We become desensitized to the nonsense, even though we know it's nonsense. And over time, it becomes the norm. And then we just accept it. And then we get to a point where we start promoting it. Whether we are promoting it overtly, directly, or covertly, indirectly. It doesn't matter. You end up promoting it. This is how we promote it. You guys may know people like this at your job. People who take their jobs too fucking serious, right? Because really, most of us are going to our jobs to collect a fucking paycheck. Yeah, you may give yourself little talks about, I love my job, I want to help people. We get it. And you know, we aspire, because we're humans, we're always, especially if you have a job where you're talking to people, whether you're working customer service, or you're a teacher, or you're a nurse, whether you're dealing with people, you do your best to do right by the people that you're talking to. When you are in a direct contact with that person, when you're having a dialogue, you do your best to be cordial, you do your best to be nice, you do your best to be friendly. We understand that part, but the core essence of it, you're really going there to collect the fucking paycheck. It doesn't mean you don't care about people. It just means that you're going there to collect your paycheck, because without that paycheck, you cannot live. That's your life source. They've turned money to be our life source, right? So you always have a couple of people like that at your job where they take their job too seriously. See, I'm the kind of guy, look, man, I just come to work and go home. I don't care who gets the fucking credit. My paycheck, I don't get an increase in my paycheck based upon who gets the credit. People get upset, it was my this, I did this. You'd be amazed. I don't even want to air my dirty laundry about my job, but there's certain things at my job where certain people are in fight. And it's mostly the females at the job. It's never the males. I have a couple of guys that I work with, we get along pretty well. But the girls are always fighting about who's getting the credit. This person did this person did this, made me feel this way. I'm like, huh? Just come to work. We already don't like coming to work as it is. Driving in traffic to go to a bullshit place we don't want to be. Then you guys gonna start arguing over who's getting credit. Look, I don't care who gets the credit. Take all the credit. As long as my paycheck stays the same, I don't give a fuck. Now, if my paycheck was based upon who gets the credit, then of course we'll start fighting more for who gets the credit. But I'm not fighting for that stuff. So this is how we have promoters of the nonsense, of this matrix system that we live in. This diabolical psychological operation that's waged upon humanity. This is exactly how we have people. And they're doing it. Maybe they're doing it directly, subconsciously. Maybe they're doing it consciously. I don't know, but they're doing it. The people who take their jobs seriously, they get mad when you don't clock in on time. They stay extra late at work. These are the people you look at, you say you have no lives. They're not many of those people, but they're just enough of those to keep the system running. That's why a lot of people who don't operate like that, who don't take their jobs that seriously, they end up walking on eggshells around those people who do take their jobs seriously. And those people who take their jobs seriously, those are the kind of people that get pushed to managerial positions, they have supervisory roles, and they supervise you because they're pushers of the system. They're pushers of the system because they're forcing you to operate like them, to not have lives, to just go home thinking about your job all the time, because that's what they do. Those are called agents of the Matrix. It's like the movie, remember Neo, the movie Matrix, and you had the agents that were trying to get him? That movie has a lot of depth. That movie has a lot of meaning in it, but a lot of people don't see it for what it is. That movie is simply a microcosm of the world we live in. We have agents in our world, and we have those that are trying to wake the fuck up. I'm already awake. It's just hard because you have so many agents. I have so many agents around me, and there's power in numbers. And if we as people got together and said, F the system, nobody go to work, what would they do? The system will crash. They'll be forced to come up with another system. But we have to speak. We have the power, we have the voice, but we don't use our power and we don't use our voice. We tend to use the tools that they've given us to protest, or go to your governmental, go to your city council, go to your mayor. That shit doesn't work. That's a corrupt system in and of itself. And asking people to use politics as a means to solve their problems is the problem to begin with. Politics was never made to solve problems. It was made to cause more problems. We are the solution to our own issues. 7:56 and I'm still in traffic. I haven't made it to work yet. Just letting you guys know, a typical day of the average American. This is what we do. This is what we do. And we do it so much that we think this is normal. That's the insane part of it. See, I wake up every day. Do you know how hard it is not to live in a perpetual state of anger all the time? Because all the things that I know, but I just have to take deep breaths and just understand the things that are important to me, my family, my wife, my kids. It's really that simple, folks. It's not complicated. I have kids that look up to me. They need me. So I have to make sure that I am okay for them. We have to unplug, folks. There are 18-wheelers all over the road causing more traffic. Military-industrial complex. The food system has been taken over by industries. We don't grow our foods anymore, which is why a lot of us are dying from sicknesses and illnesses and cancers. Our foods are highly ultra-processed. Here we are. Here we are. And we think, and that's the part, we think it's normal. We think toxins are medicines. That's why I say human beings are dumb. We're not that smart, folks. This idea that we've made advancements, we haven't made any advancement. Every human advancement has come at the hands of extraterrestrial beings. Yeah, we've had certain humans who were smart enough to come up with certain things, but where they're getting their ideas from, all right, where they're getting their foundational concepts from extraterrestrial beings. Every advancement in humanity has always come at the hands of extraterrestrials. Whether it's them, mixing our DNA with Denisovians, that's where you get the caveman people from, the people with the large skulls that weren't very, they were probably more spiritual than us, but had larger brains, a thicker bone density than we did. Those were experiments that went wrong when the Anunnaki beings were trying to create human beings. It was an experiment. It took many, many years to do. We are currently now in an experiment, but we don't think we are. The evolution of the human being is to incorporate consciousness inside AI, humanoid robots. So it's just like you see me talking to you right now. They're trying to figure out, they probably already figured it out. Taking my consciousness, taking who I am as a person, my thoughts, my experiences, and transferring that using some type of chip and inserting that chip into a humanoid robot and have the robot speak just like I'm speaking. And you'll think it's me, but it's not me, because my awareness is gone. My essence is gone, but I'm operating artificially, just like artificial intelligence. See, artificial intelligence is artificial because it's not natural intelligence. Natural intelligence has the essence of divinity in it. Artificiality doesn't have divinity in it. It just has information to give. And it talks, but there's no connection. There's no bond. There's no true bond or connection. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like when you ask AI to do something for you, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Google, and you ask them a question, they can talk to you and give you the feeling of the feeling of, oh, they care. They may say thank you, nice to help you. That's artificial, because anybody could fake that, right? It's just a voice. But the human touch, electromagnetisms are gone. A human or a robot doesn't emit the same electrical charge as a human body does. This is all steeped in the realm of quantum physics. A human or a robot is just a materialistic. It's made of materials. It's not made of real. It's not real. It doesn't have the same neurological capacity that we have as humans. It doesn't emit those electrical responses as humans. I want you to do this. If you think that I'm talking bullshit, the next time, go to your grocery store. You have your basket full of your items. I want you to take half of your items and go to the checkout line where you get to do self-checkout. And even though that thing sometimes it talks to you, right? It'll say $5.99, $2.99. Thank you for shopping. Okay, go to those machines first, and then take the other half of your items, and then go through a checkout line. Preferably go to a person that's smiling, that's nice, because you have some workers that are miserable. They don't want to be there. I don't blame them. And go to a person's line that's actually a person, and then dialogue with that person and tell me how you feel. Don't you feel more alive talking to another human being versus having some AI machine talk to you? The increase of AI, believe it or not, is causing us to be more disassociated with our human selves. It's causing us to be more highly efficient. There's some pluses to it, but the efficiency only feeds into the military-industrial complex. In other words, the efficiency only makes the system run smoother and puts us as the drivers of the vehicle. So for instance, let's say for instance, walking is how you commute, but then now you've given somebody a vehicle. Let's say the vehicle is the artificial intelligence in this scenario that I'm making up. The vehicle increases efficiency because it moves faster, and you can get to point A to point B at a faster rate. But what does that do? It causes human beings to be the drivers of their own demise. I mean, that they make sure that you make it to work on time. Now you can get to work faster. Now you're going to work more because you can get to work faster. Now you can get more done at work because it doesn't take you 2 hours to walk to work. You can get in a car and drive to work. You're not going to work on a horse. See, the system is continually evolving to make us better slaves, to make us workers, to make us work more efficiently. But AI is becoming so advanced to the point now it's taking jobs away from people. Now it's gonna rearrange, it's gonna recalibrate the entire work industry to make certain jobs obsolete and cause certain jobs to rise out of the ashes. There are gonna be jobs that will be created in the near future that we've never heard of because of AI, because of the emergence of AI. So that's the system, folks. It's 8:02 and I'm still on the road. I haven't made it to work yet. Right now I'm stopped and I'm at a red light. I'm about to turn on this street. But I'm ranting, folks, and I understand it. And for you guys that understand me, leave a comment to me what you guys think. I mean, I'm just being as honest as I can. I'm sorry that I don't have the words to articulate some of my points the best way that I can, but I'm doing it the best way that I can. I'm only giving you what I know from what I know. But there's something that's not right about this system, because I'm in Texas and every other state is doing the same thing. We're all doing the same thing. That makes us sheep. That makes us cattle. When you see people herding cattle, they're moving the cattle towards a specific location, and we all move towards a specific location every morning. It's like clockwork. Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It's the same damn routine. And this is normal. life is about. And I don't even think some of us would know what to do with our lives if we didn't have to work. We would feel useless, and that's a problem because we've been engineered to think that our usefulness and our self-worth is tied to our jobs, as I said earlier, and it shouldn't be. Life is much bigger than your job, folks. Life is much bigger than work. Life is much bigger than driving in traffic all day. And I'm not even mentioning when we're coming back from work, how long it's going to take you to get home. We're not at home much, folks. That your house is pretty much used to store your food, to sleep in, to eat, to take a shower, to bring your ass back to work. So your home is not really your home. Your home is your job. Your home that you rest in, that you go to, is not your house. Whether you live in an apartment or whether you live in a house and you have a mortgage, where you lay your head is not your house. Where you lay your head is simply just a resting spot for you to go back to your real home, which is your job. Think about that for a moment. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Peace.